Alrighty, so for 10A note, we're going to interpret key features of functions using graphs and tables. For the domain, it's referring to the x values, which we'll find on the x-axis. While the range is the opposite, it's focusing on the y values, which is found on the y-axis. So for example, number 1, find the domain of the graph below. F of x equals negative x plus 1. Express the solution as an inequality. So mine kind of got cut off, but we're actually going to find the domain and the range here. So for the domain, again, we're focusing on the x values. So one of the x values is negative 3. The other x value is positive 3. So usually how I do the domain, I always go from left to right. So I'll label that so you know what I mean. Left to right. So the left number was negative 3. The right number was 3. So I'll even label that here so you know what I'm referring to. The range is almost the exact same process except we're looking at the y-axis. So for the y-axis, we have negative 2 and positive 4. So the way we do the range, we're going to go from bottom up. So the bottom number was negative 2. The top number was 4. And that's how you find the domain and the range. So we're going to repeat that same process. Some of these examples are going to give you numbers that you're going to have to estimate where the placements are. So for 2, find the domain of the graph below. F of x equals negative 2/3 x minus 1. Express the solution as an inequality. So again, for domain, it's the x values. And we're going to go from the left number to the right number. This graph isn't labeled, but you could assume that it's going by ones. Let me quickly just write them down. Alright, so the left number is going to be 2. The right number is going to be positive 2. So negative 2 less than or equal to x less than or equal to positive 2. And then we're going to repeat the same for the y, the range. So remember, range is bottom up. So the bottom number, as you could see, is not exactly on the line. So I'm going to guess it's negative 2.2. And then for the top number, again, it doesn't really land on it, but I'm going to say it's about 0.2 as well. So the bottom number will be negative 2.2. The up number, which is the top number, would be 0.2. So again, it's just actually just asking where it starts, whether you're going vertically or horizontally. Number 3 is identify and interpret the domain and the range for the given scenario. So the scenario is that Allstate Arena is capable of seating 15,800 people. Disney on Ice is coming to Allstate Arena. And the amount of money that Disney on Ice brings in as revenue, R, is a function of the number of people, P, in attendance. If each ticket costs $45. Alrighty, so the domain here, it kind of already tells you it's P for people. So it's asking about what type of numbers we could have for people. So usually on the left side is going to always be the lowest number. So in this case, the lowest number of people who could attend would be 0. On the other side is going to be the max number of people. So in this case, the problem tells us the max number of the seating is 15,800. So that takes care of the domain. The range, on the other hand, is talking about revenue. Revenue in this case is talking about the money. So what's the lowest number we could have? If no one attends, you will make 0 profit. So the lowest number here will be 0. The highest number, your max number of money, would be how much money you can make. So in order for us to be able to find out that number, you have to multiply the max number of people, which was 15,800, times how much each ticket costs. So they tell us again, so it's 45. So in your calculator, you're going to do 15,800 times 45. 15,800 times 45 is 711,000. So we took care of the domain, we took care of the range. Now we have to write an interpretation. So we just pretty much have to write a sentence about what's going on here. So at 15,800 people, the max revenue is $711,000. So that pretty much concludes what this problem is talking about. We found the domain, we found the range, and then we were able to write an interpretation based off of that information. Next one is write the domain for the interval of the graph with, so they're going to give you a graph. So here they're asking about the x's, the x values. So we're going to have a positive linear rate of change, which is increasing. So it's asking you where it's increasing. A positive nonlinear rate of change that actually should have been negative, which means it's decreasing. So it's asking where in this graph is it decreasing. And then a rate of change of 0. Again, so that's asking us where is it constant, where is it not going up or down, staying the same. So we're going to look at our graph. So for the first part where it's a positive, it's asking where it's increasing. So it's increasing from where I'm highlighting in red. So we're going to look for the x values. Again, the x values are usually the horizontal values if it doesn't tell you. So in this case, it started from 0 and it stopped increasing at 5. So the way you write it, you're going to write it as an inequality. 0 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 5. Again, it's x because we're talking about the domain. A negative rate of change, so again, it's asking where is it decreasing. So I'm highlighting the section in which is decreasing in green. So where did it start decreasing? It started decreasing at 15. It stopped decreasing at 30. So it'll be 15 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 30. Again, it's x because we're talking about the domain. And last but not least, we're going to find the rate of change of where it's 0. So that's going on right here where the line is staying the same. It's not increasing and it's not decreasing. And that started at 5 and it ended at 15. So it's going to be 5 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 15. So again, we're focusing on the domain. So the next one, write the appropriate domain for the interval of the graph with, again, a positive rate of change. So we're going to look for where it's going up. So I'm going to make the line thicker so you guys can see which blue. So again, it started at 0. It stopped increasing at 5. So it'll be from 0 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 5. A negative rate of change is where it's decreasing. So we're going to estimate where was it decreasing. Again, I'm highlighting that in red. So it started decreasing at 10. And it stopped decreasing about halfway between 12 and 13, which I'm going to estimate to 12.5. So it's going to be from 10 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 12.5. And last but not least, a rate of change of 0, so where it's staying the same. I'm highlighting that in green. So where did we start staying the same? At 5. Where did we stop staying the same? At 10. So it's going to be from 5 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 10. And that concludes our notes for today for Target 10A.